Keeping the energy level up, man. I think it just has to do with the other three guys in the band are a little younger than me, which definitely helps. But all of us that are in the band are actually pretty enthusiastic about music in general, but death metal mostly. And I think that helps keep the energy level and the enthusiasm pretty high for just to keep creating music that we want to listen to as a band. And hopefully we keep doing it for a few more years.
Hey, what's up? This is Cifer with Ghost Cult Magazine, and today I have with me Dawn of the Dead from Nunslaughter, and we're about to talk about their new album, Satanic Chaos Legion. So this is the thing that impressed me about this. I mean, you guys have been kicking this since, I guess your first demos were around 87?
Yeah,
And
correct.
you guys are like keeping the energy level up with every release. So how do you a lot of bands later in their careers or over time start to slow down a little bit. So what gives you guys the gumption to keep going at this level?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. And I appreciate the interview. And also thank you for saying that. Yeah. Keeping the energy level up, man. I think it just has to do with the other three guys in the band are a little younger than me, which definitely helps. But all of us that are in the band are actually pretty enthusiastic about music in general, but death metal mostly. And I think that helps keep the energy level and the enthusiasm pretty high for just to keep creating music that we want to listen to as a band. And hopefully we keep doing it for a few more years.
So this is like your sixth full length, right? I know you guys have a zillion like splits and EPs out. So is the process for you guys different when you're going in to record, a full 10, 12 songs?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I guess there's more anticipation that you have to make something great. When it's a 10-inch or a split 7-inch, you really only got 6 or 10 minutes of music to work with. So it doesn't weigh quite as heavy, and you don't have as much as far as like artwork and studio time and promoting. With an length album, you sort of do. We this one though, in particular, we had a pretty easy time creating it because we took our time in creating demos for the few years since we put out our last album, and we were able to demo the songs and work our way up to a record where sometimes bands, they rent out a studio and they have ideas for songs go in, and then they're kind of pressured to write the rest of the album while they're in the studio. We didn't have that. We had all of our songs in our back pocket, ready to roll when we hit the record button. So it made the process very easy.
Right, and I can tell that you guys went in ready because it was so tight. You can tell when they're writing it in the studio and it sounds kind of piecemeal at times, where everything was very concise with this one. One thing too I noticed on the song "Rotten Messiah," there's definitely like a punk edge to it. Were you guys listening to more punk music this time during the writing process leading up to this, or how did that influence you guys?
Yeah, very much so. The three of us out of the four probably listen to punk rock more than metal, death metal overall. And usually when we're in the van, we're listening to a lot of punk bands rather than death metal bands. So that always spilled over into Nunslaughter writing and recording process even since the very beginning. And it's continued for almost 30 years. Been with the guys, fortunately, that they like. We have a lot of crossover bands. All of us listen to, and that helps with the recording and writing process. And Rock Messiah is a perfect example of where it's got a memorable hook to the not only just the verses but the sing along parts, and it's a part of our writing process. Listen to punk rock, write death metal.
Right, and it makes sense. Long ride in a van, you want to listen to more punk, then it's more fun than, I love death metal, but, if I've been listening to it for 4 hours and I'm on the road, that somebody pulls over in traffic, there's going to be a problem. So I get that. So yeah, so one thing too I noticed on this album where it makes it sound heavier is, and maybe it's just my ears, but it sounds like the bass tone is a lot meatier and beefier on this album. What kind of played into that?
Yeah, we actually worked on it quite a bit. We started using some more updated equipment, and we're able to. We kind of, I don't know if it was a really said out loud, but I think everybody was thinking it on our past releases. We didn't have the right bass sound that we were looking for. And on this one, between the guitarist and the bass player, they took some time to get the sound of the bass dialed in. And I think it represents Nunslaughter a little bit more to have a richer sounding bass sound than what we've had in the past. And I'm glad you noticed, because I think it shows. I definitely notice it.
Right. I always adhere to the fact that, the vocals and the guitar are what makes things metal, but it's the drums and the bass is what makes things heavy. Because if you look at a band like Killing Joke, they weren't metal, but they had heavy drums and bass, and that made them heavier. And I think it definitely works for your album. It gives me some like Venom and Motorhead vibes there.
Awesome. Yeah, great bands.
Yeah. So, when you're recording vocals on this, what was your approach? Did it differ this time? I know there's a more like anthemic feel to how some of them are layered on the choruses.
Yeah. So on this one, we, instead of working with a timetable like, hey, we have to have this done by the end of the month or something like that, it was very open ended. We recorded this album kind of for us. We weren't under a schedule of a label. Hey, you got to put this out for a specific war or part, the time of the year. So we were able to take time, myself in particular, and go in where we rehearse is also a recording studio, guitarist recording studio. I went in and would record, say, two and a half songs of lyrics, and that's pretty much my voice could do. It strength, and listen to it for a week or so, and then next practice I could go back to the studio, back to the same song, be like, hey, I want to say the word a little different. I want to change how the words are, laid out or set. And so I could go back in or a line, and we worked that way through the whole album. So I didn't have to do all the, 15 or 15 songs all at the same time, and piecing them each of the shortest delivery that I could, go in and just do one line or two lines, and then go on to the next song, come back to them and change them. And we were changing vocals around pretty much the whole time it was getting mixed. No would hear something that, I think you could say that a little bit better, or this is no better. And so I just go back in and change it. And so even though I'm getting old, I think it's my strongest outing with vocals on this album.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I kind of heard that Glenn Benton did a similar approach. I think it was on Scars of the Cross, where he just recorded one line at a time. And that it makes sense, particularly when you're going really aggressively, and you're doing take after take. Even if you're like screaming from your diaphragm, it's wear and tear, just the air pressure on the vocal cords, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And so did you do that as
if Glenn Benton's doing it, it must be good.
Yeah. They didn't say how he did his other like high demon ones. I mean, I'm sure he came in with a Ouija board and summoned those up, So did you do a scratch vocal that everybody recorded too as well? When let's say
no, most of the vocals, basically just the drums are there, and guitar and bass. We had all that. We had a rough mix of that going in, and then I did the vocals, and most of the vocals are just myself and Noah, the guitar player. He also did some backing vocals, and he's got a little deeper register of voice and that him. But while we record vocals, he's always conscious of it. He'll say the line again or get two more times, and he records it. So, the process was very smooth.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that is one thing I like about this album is that, I always say that, you can go in and dial in a sound, but it's writing songs that are important and that vocals can't just be an afterthought, because any of the great
Absolutely.
heavy albums that I love, the vocals are just as crucial as the guitar parts. I mean, even like something like Blessed Are the Sick, David Vincent's vocals are just as important as whatever Trey's doing. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I
Sure.
think that definitely, when I listened to it, it was, not just blinding riffs, but very purposeful. And I appreciate that from you guys.
Oh, thank you.
So, lyrically, I know that you guys, I mean, everything is thematic when it comes to Nunslaughter. So, with the satanic thing, I know that you guys it's more of a representative feel of things. So, when you're writing lyrics, are you also making some of that metaphoric for stuff going on in the world or daily life, or is it very just, okay, here's the purpose?
No, pretty much all of our lyrics are kind of on the nose. I don't think they should be read into it very deeply. I mean, a lyric like Jesus fucking dies, there's not much to read into that. It's pretty much a song about Jesus getting crucified and dying. I mean, that's pretty much what we wanted to say with that song. And Messiah, the same thing. I mean, there's no, I'm not alluding to something bigger political or of the universe. It's pretty much that the Messiah that they've chosen, being Jesus, is basically rotten from the fucking neck down. I mean, it's just a shitty person to follow. So that's how we approach most of our lyrics, pretty much on the nose.
Right. I mean, but I guess there would be a lot of inspiration for that because it seems like there's a lot of people in the world that are kind of, I've even heard that there's like political parties that are trying to bring out an apocalypse, trying to speed up the rapture. So when you get bombarded with that stuff, it just kind of, to me, drives the point home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Christian nationalism here in the United States is becoming a larger issue. But yeah, my disgust with the Catholic Church is based solely upon my experiences, and the same goes with the rest of the guys in the band. I just happened to hook up with three other guys that kind of felt the same way as I did.
Right, which, I guess that says something about the bigger picture. If you can find, sometimes drummers
Right.
can be hard to find. So if you find a drummer and he has the same experiences, well, that's how broad of a problem is it then?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so what are you guys going to do as far as touring plans to promote this one?
Well, tomorrow we take off to Europe for 15 shows, and then when we get back, we've got a couple of one-offs around here in the States, and then in November we're heading to Central and South America for I think 12 or 14 shows. At least that's what's on the calendar, and then depending on what offers come our way, we'd like to make it out to the West Coast before the end of the year, but I don't see that happening. Nothing's on the schedule yet. And then come February, we're going to start trying to book some U.S. tours. Hopefully by this time next year, we'll have scheduled a tour of Asia.
Okay.
So that's
cool. Have you guys played Asia before?
Yeah, we've done a couple of shows. We've done Japan, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. I think that's the places in Asia or Southeast Asia that we've hit.
And how are those crowds when you compare them to crowds in the Western world?
Well, especially in Malaysia, we had fantastic crowds. We played a fest. This is going back I don't know 15, 16, 17 years. So it's been a while since we've been there, but the crowds were fantastic. Lots of energy, and I think they don't maybe get as many people from the United States in this, I guess, bracket or genre of music. I'm sure bigger bands, like, Lamb of God or something's touring over there, but as far as where our I guess groups at, they don't get a lot of bands like us coming and blaspheming in their community. So yeah, the shows were great.
And that, I guess it's interesting because I would imagine in that region of the world is not as entrenched in Western religion, so you're not going to have like a lot of protesters in Japan. Is my guess.
No, yeah, it's more like Buddhism, I
Right.
guess, would be with Malaysia.
Cool, cool. And you guys played a one-off show, or I guess it's happened. I think I saw it where you guys were opening up for one of the Acid Bath reunion shows. How did that go?
Yeah, it was actually, we just played with that Bath in Milwaukee. So they played here in Cleveland at the Agora, and we met some of the guys at the time they're doing Goat War, and we met them quite a few years ago, and just kind of hit it off. And so whenever they decided to start doing Acid Bath again, they've asked us in the past, and we didn't have it in our schedule, and it just so happened they were playing our hometown, so we decided to take them up on it. Great crowd. I mean, it's our hometown crowd. We here in Cleveland, we never played in front of 1,000 people, but Acid Bath headlining, one show, and the place was just on fire. Everybody lost their mind for Acid Baths. That was the time. And then, of course, Milwaukee, they were different stage than us, and they played right after us. I didn't get a chance to see him, but our guitarist ran up and saw a couple of songs, and he said they sounded great. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get a chance to maybe do some more shows with them, or if Goat Horde decides to start touring again, maybe we'll do a tour with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully he still keeps Goat Horde going. Just like, I thought it was sad that Dax Riggs put out a solo album, and then it was great, and then the Acid Bath shows got announced, and you never heard any press about his solo album again. But I mean, hey,
Yeah.
I think it says something about heavy music that a band like that, and it's funny. I was just talking to Sammy, who's I know is a big fan of you guys, and he was saying, when we were big in
Yeah,
Acid Bath,
great.
nobody gave a shit about us, and now I guess it's just the wonders of the internet. All of a sudden, they're as big as Deftones or something like that.
Yeah, they had music that just wouldn't go away, and people wanted to see the band live, and yeah, I mean, just great for them, man. Most of those guys grinded it out for a couple of decades in Goat War, and I think now all of them are kind of getting the band or musical recognition that they've deserved, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I saw Goat Whore I guess 4 years ago. They played Easter at the Brass Mug in Tampa, and as you can imagine, even though Easter, is in April in Tampa, it's still going to be 100 degrees in that club, and it was a great show. And I think it's the thing with Acid Bath is I think it shows that there is a renewed interest in heavy music, because it's not like Acid Bath's like Metallica. They're like screaming, eat your dead cock and stuff like that. So they're on the more extreme end of that. So do you find that that's something that you're seeing when you guys are playing, or there's more, and you're seeing a younger crowd coming out?
Well, boy, I hope so, because there's not a lot of old timers left. I personally like the fact that some of our shows they're multi-generational. So people will bring their sons and or daughters to see Nunslaughter that they saw Nunslaughter 20 plus years ago, and that means a lot to me. I think it's fantastic. Not only coming to the show, they're sharing it with their sons or daughters to bring them to see Slaughter live. But yeah, obviously most of our I guess base is the say 20-ish to mid 30s metal of guys that are interested in death metal, and then old folks.
And are you guys seeing any crossover in your crowds from since there's more of a renewed interest in like black metal? Are you seeing some crossover there?
I think a lot of times people don't know where to put Nunslaughter. Is it a black metal band? Is it a death metal band? And we do get people that come to the shows. Their faces are picked up, and they're all black metal out duds and everything, which I think is great. We also we played this show in Lansing, Michigan, and it was at a bar in a college town, and it so happened that regular people just want entertainment, and they came in, and you could tell they're just regular people. They're just there because there's a rock show, and they watched the bands, and they watched Slaughter, and then a couple came up, and that was really entertaining. They bought Nunslaughter shirts and patches, and who knows they'll ever wear them, but they were showing support, and I thought that really, we're entertaining enough that they're like, going to buy a shirt for this band. So
Right, yeah. Nice. Well, hey, I mean, that's the good thing about being a headliner is that people have had all night to drink, so you can always sell merch merch after that third Jaeger shot. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully you guys will come down here to Tampa. Would look forward to seeing you. And if you're watching this, make sure to check out their new album. It's one of the most well-written pieces of extreme music you're going to hear this year, probably. So check it out. Thanks so much for your time. Let's do this again sometime, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And if you see us in Florida and it's close to you, and you come to the show, please introduce yourself. I'd appreciate it, and I'd like to meet you in person.
I will, for sure. I'll be the biggest guy that's sweating the most profusely. So I will. I'll see you then.
That's
have a good one.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.